Half a day. I'm Tom Fisher. Here's the harsh reality. A trip to the grocery store for the basics, eggs, bag of rice, butter, can of Spam, milk, costs almost $30, and that's just 5 items. The cost of living continues to grow, but the money doesn't. We need to roll back the business privilege tax to reduce Guam's cost of living, and I will make that happen.
Vote Thomas Fisher for senator. If you want different, vote different.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
I'm sick.
I'm tired.
I'm sick and tired of the infiltration of crystal meth in our families and in our neighborhoods, yet no drug task force to stem the flow of drugs is anywhere in sight.
We are disgusted in the increase in violent crimes and the decrease in police officers.
We are outraged at witnessing the absence of leadership and action until 6 months before the election.
We are sick of knowing
that if one of our loved ones gets very sick,
GMH may not be safe enough for them.
We have hope because we see the honesty of Governor Felix Camacho and Senator Tony Ada.
We have faith that they will take care of all the people, including the forgotten.
The struggling.
The in and the out.
In this election, we're voting for values.
For fairness.
For equality and equity.
For leadership that works from day one.
We are voting for Camacho Ada.
I'm Felix Camacho, and I approve this message.
You know, every good citizen wants to thank and be grateful for members of the armed services for the freedom that we have, and that includes veterans who have been there, who have done that. And every time we know that there is someone out there who served in the armed services, generally we stop and we say, and the right thing to do is to stop and say, thank you so much for your service. But there's so many veterans out in our community, so many stories out there of people who are veterans who need help, and many of them don't ask for help. And many of them do ask for help, but are not getting the services that they need, and that is where Got Your 671 comes into play. And we're so very happy to have in studio with us 3 of the officers of Got Your 671, Roy Gamboa.
Afre, good morning.
Don Santos.
Afre.
And Tanya Eubanks.
Hafide, good morning.
Buenas, Tanya. So I know your mother-in-law. We were having a conversation. I worked with her in the government of Guam, and you told me, unfortunately, that she passed away back in 2018. So it's very nice to meet you. Of course, it's very nice to meet you, Don. Yes. I know Roy. I've known Roy's brother, Joe, who was involved in a pretty bad car accident. And you want to tell us a little bit about how Joe's doing, if you don't mind?
Not a problem. We'll keep it nice and brief. Joe's doing actually pretty good. He's at home resting, recovering. I'd say he's in about the 80-90% recovery area. He still has some head trauma that he's dealing with, but walking, talking, and doing his most favorite thing, eating. So he's doing pretty well.
If I were your brother, I would slap your face for saying that, but you know.
It's okay, Joe. You can hit me later if you want.
But we're not trying to promote violence here. When we come back, I hope you don't mind if we can talk about the problems that people don't really see veterans experiencing and what you guys are doing about how to help them out. When we come back from this short it's not a short commercial break. When we come back from this rather long commercial break, we're going to start this conversation. Stick with us.
Hafide. My name is Marianne Mana Silva Tyron, and I'm running for a seat in the 37th Guam Legislature. You might remember me from my media days, as I spent over 20 years covering news here on Guam. More recently, I served as a senator in the 31st Guam Legislature and as the deputy administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority. I've always been an advocate for businesses and for building a strong economy for our island, and over the years have worked to create new laws that help to increase business activity and develop new industries on Guam. I've also created legislation that helped to improve access to government services. If elected to serve again, I will continue to focus on improving the economy because I believe that building a strong economy will allow us to better address critical needs in public safety, healthcare, and education. This general election, I ask that you give me one of your votes. I'm Marianne Mana Silva Tyron, and I'm number 12 on the Republican side of the ballot.
Terong ani kami resau mar me reilumar ngang urusemiam lino meta olopai. Imusan tangar maliulu ngani kami masal ngani kami babu fiti le iti Selina Roberto Babauta bobotolong boye nice Congress nomor nyan balad nge ruo automatically nomor nyan balad nge ruo melan November walu lan maram musik kemutingan au sigi uri ululu nyan ngang melan House of Representative eseb mesah hibura hiwana charmalian ye wikita ngairala mikagat dengan igis meas government ebal senir me eno precinct 2 ebal monar alnger sakna we esabior preferno melan fanu kafanwas wan te hi lokametaka ekeira boba mala preferno melan meas government Awyas hero balan fanu kafanwas bali ye hero atau tabwe yang musenegi me bauto tabwe busiu atau lenge Selina Roberto Babauta nomor ruo lanyan balad bisi atau lenge webono boye as senator lan election sikkem matengene lan November Giliso ngani kami resa omar merelu mar. Giliso.
I have different goals as I age. I want to be stronger and healthier, but it's got to fit my lifestyle. I can't spend all day in the gym and it can't be crowded. So here at CrossFit Pizza, I have all these different options for fitness and the people are really nice. The atmosphere is inviting, it's like family. GovGom employees and retirees, sign up today for CrossFit Pizza for free when you choose Take Care as your insurance carrier and for 50% off if you choose Select Care. It's an investment you'll love. Welcome back and thanks for sticking with us. Now, before we cut to the break, we introduce you to Roy Don. Not Don. You want everyone's going to know you as that. And Tanya from Got Your 671. Before I ask you the first question, I ask you guys the first question. I wanted you to know that before the show started, I did a 300 fast phone call. That's the call to KFC delivery. It was actually on WhatsApp. It was a pretty easy process, and we're getting a half bucket of chicken, and so, you know, you guys we can keep this light. You can eat the KFC on the show while we're having a chat, because nice. I will be.
Is that why the end table is?
That's why there's a table right there. It's for the chicken when it comes. And John Conception, poor guy, he's on the lookout outside for the delivery driver to come. I got the message on WhatsApp that it's already on the way. So, we also have in studio. Oh, we cannot say that, right? Never mind. We
have other officers.
We don't have anyone else in the studio. They're at work. They're at their job.
To be fair, this is our lunch hour.
This is
my lunch hour. So.
They're at work.
So first, tell me about who each of you is to Got Your 671 and what branch of the military you may have served in or what your affiliation is with veterans.
Cool. My name is Roy Gamboa. I'm the Vice President of GY 671. I spent time with the Guam Army National Guard and the United States Marine Corps.
All right.
So I'm Don. sergeant at arms, so spent a couple years in the Guam Army National Guard as an infantryman.
My name is Tanya Eubanks, and I am the secretary for Got Your 671. I'm not a veteran. I'm a veteran advocate. I'm also one of the 5 accredited veteran service officers here on the island.
What does that mean?
So being an accredited officer gives me the legal authority to prepare a claim for a veteran, present it to the VA, and to go as far as representing them before a veterans law judge if that ever came to the point where they have to go before a judge because they're filing an appeal. You know, you couldn't have your pari or, good friend or, uncle be the one to represent you in front of the veterans law judge. It would have to be somebody accredited.
So it's almost like getting someone with experience in human resources to represent you before the Civil Service Commission. You don't necessarily have to have a lawyer, but you have to have someone who's familiar with human resources. So kind of like that.
I guess it's just that they need to be, in the case of the veteran benefits, they have to be an accredited representative in order to represent a veteran.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
I was going to say, so there's a lot of training that takes place with what she does. Yes, she's not a lawyer per se, but there is a lot of training that that brings her almost to that level. Right now, there's only 5 active on Guam, and what we've done in my previous work was bring a trainer out here to train 10 additional veteran accredited reps for the island of Guam. To service more than 28,000 veterans, we definitely need more, and our organization is actually looking at training more of our members, some of our officers, to be accredited reps as well.
Now, this is not the first time GY671 has been on our show. The very first time was when you guys were a lot newer, and John Conception came on our show to talk about Got Your 671, and it was it became a rather emotional conversation because these are emotional subjects that we're talking about, or these are very touching subjects that we're talking about. But why don't you refresh our audience's recollection? Why did you guys start?
Sure, I'll just touch on it, and I've been advised short, sweet, and simple. John and I were actually related. He's married to my first cousin, and many, many years ago.
Lisa's your first cousin?
That is correct.
I love her.
Very sweet,
She
innocent
is so
young lady.
tough.
Yeah, no, sweet and innocent. What are you talking
goodness.
about? I'm just
I've known her for decades. I've known both of them for decades, but of course, Lisa's the one I wouldn't piss off.
Hi, Molly. So, yeah, definitely. John and I were we were there for each other, right? Many years ago, I was in a bad place. John was able to talk. Never really met him before that, even though we're family, right? He came to my rescue a couple of times, and I like to say I did the same thing. And we sat down and we're thinking, if we're going through this crap, there's got to be a lot of other veterans going through the same thing. And when we say crap, right, it's in a deep, dark hole where nobody can help me or nobody understands what I'm going through. And since then, we put our heads together. We got like-minded veterans that may also have been struggling or just interested in helping us in our mission. And John reminded me a little bit more about our mission is just helping veterans with their transition from military life to civilian life. And he remembered
which is a lot easier said than done.
A lot easier, right? Because we meet people with different levels of anxiety, depression, trauma, different experiences, right? Just like the branches are very different, so too are the experiences that they go through it. I used to assume that the only way to get PTSD was going into combat. Completely wrong. Opened my eyes. For a lot of women, there's military sexual trauma, and a lot of that goes unreported. It's very hard for females to come forward and report it. There's a lot of embarrassment, shame, whatever it may be. So we meet, and Don can talk a little bit more. But before we get there, the mission is RUC, right? Easiest way to remember it is resources. We've developed our vast resources with all of our connections here with agencies and partners, also stateside. Resources, we've got, where are you? Unity. Okay.
Unity.
Thank you. Unity, camaraderie, and knowledge. And what we do is we don't try to be specific with just a one-trick pony. We service anything and everything that a veteran can come to us and say, hey, man, I'm short my paycheck. I need some food on the table. Can you help me out? Not a problem. Homeless veterans, we've had tents. We've collected clothing. Food items, whatever it may be. We've sat there and sometimes the most important thing is just talking, being a friend. and that goes a long way.
I remember John talking to us about this as sort of a concept in the beginning. Now it sounds like you guys have put this into motion. It was sort of like a wraparound services for veterans who have all sorts of needs, all sorts of problems.
Definitely, and Don can talk a little bit more about something that we've been doing. We host something every week. We're going on 2 years now. And Don will talk about that.
Okay.
So what we actually do every Wednesday is Battle Buddy Talk. So pretty much it's a peer-to-peer led, topic-led discussion. And if you feel that the topic speaks to you, eventually people open up, but they're not used to talking to their family members, because at the end of the day, nobody really understands us, truly, because they think that, oh, we're getting mad because someone didn't pick up a wrapper. But we're used to take the initiative and pick it up. But they're not used to the lifestyle that we lived for years, putting on the boots.
We're talking about people who served in the military.
People who served and their family, not everyone understands unless they've been there, pretty much. But we don't judge nobody. Everyone comes in and we come in with an open mind, and there's certain topics that we touch on, and pretty much everyone's been through it or they're going through it now, and it opens up veterans, and they prefer to go to a non-clinical place to talk to other people that have the same struggles, same trauma, same lifestyles and experience.
Is it too simplistic if I say that it's sort of like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, where people sit around in a circle? I've actually never been. No, I have been to any meeting once where people just sort of sit around and people who are like-minded, they talk about the problems that they have. Okay.
So it can be similar in I've yet to be to one, but what we've recognized, and I think with some of the literature that's coming back from the VA now, is they're seeing that peer-to-peer resources, peer-to-peer support is working a lot better than clinical support. Now, we don't recommend to our veterans, don't go to see the therapist, we're the answer to all of it. No, we're not. We're definitely not. We actually encourage them to come participate in Battle Buddy Talk, and then kind of grease the skid so that when they do talk to the clinicians, we tell them, look, those are the professionals, those are the experts. We're just, I don't want to say we're a stepping stone, but we're an arena where they can come in and feel comfortable. Some of the remarks that we've gotten in the past is, hey, wow, this is awesome. This is the best thing I've ever been to, because it's not political. Their head is not being picked apart by a psychologist or psychiatrist. They feel like they're amongst their peers and they're comfortable.
Well, it's because they are among their peers.
Yes.
They are among people who understand, who can have the ability to understand what it is that they're going through. Now, can we just back this up a little bit? And what are the problems that veterans face on Guam?
So it's a lot of like depression, self-isolation, homelessness, a lot of anger, and pretty much I can honestly say when veterans come home, they're lost, because there is no reintegration to society, because it's just...
Why is that?
There's no real actual programs for us to come home and like, oh, hey, sit down, this is what may possibly happen to you, and if you have these issues, come to us. We'll come to us with open arms, because we'll talk to you. But there's nothing. It's just you got to do everything on your own.
So, we spend years and years training, right? And let's face it, right? If you're an infantryman, if you're in the Corps, whatever it may be, you're trained to take another person's life. If you're the infantryman, it's instant response to gunfire, instant response to attacks. And the day you get out, it's like, okay, boom, you're back in the civilian world, where a lot of veterans are misunderstood in the workplace, where we take things rather seriously in the workplace, and it's hard when everybody else is just lackadaisical, stuff like that, and everybody's just like, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it. And so it builds up frustration for a lot of veterans. When you ask what do veterans deal with, we try to make sure that there is a topic, so that way if it's something that a veteran is trying to address and maybe they're interested in, they show up, right? And we've been averaging 20, 25, 30 veterans coming to these weekly meetings, which is
This is the Battle Buddy.
This is Battle Buddy Talk every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. at Sagan Katuran Chamorro. Okay. That's down there in Tumon, next to all the other Gumas down up there at the SKC. So we can cover a wide array, right? We address anger, we address anxiety, depression. We also look at positive things. We try to make sure that it ends with sometimes just a change of perspective, sometimes just that little pivot, sometimes just that little shift, one little small change every morning you wake up will start to make an improvement with veterans' lives. So,
Change of pace.
Yeah, change of pace, and knowing that they belong somewhere, they're part of a group again, helps quite a bit.
Do you guys think that most people on this island understand what it is that you're talking about right now, that veterans face these problems?
I can honestly say only the veteran understands.
Oh, your microphone.
I'm sorry. Only the veterans understands, because there's no real actual knowledge on how to turn this off. You know what I mean? You're trained to kill. You're trained to protect your buddy to your left or your right, or you're trained to protect that base, and most of all, your country and your island. And we can't turn it off, because that's just set in stone on how we were taught to be.
Tanya, you're not a veteran, so let me ask you that same question. Is this something that you understand? Is this something that you believe civilians probably need more advocacy and understanding?
I do. I think that the civilian world out there needs to be more educated on the experiences that these veterans have when they're either on deployment or even on active duty, because like they said, they're trained, to fight for our freedom, to fight for our country, but they're not trained on how to turn that off, right? So sometimes it's misconstrued. Their families think that they're just being a jerk, right? And that just accept it, but it's not that at all. That's not the case at all. And what I've seen at these Battle Buddy talks, even when it was online, because at one point it was online because, COVID, we weren't able to be in person, but I've seen people remain anonymous and not speak at all. And it takes, hearing their stories that they're like, man, I'm going through that same thing, and then they muster up the courage to start speaking. And then now, thanks to the support from both the veterans and the advocates, they're in a much better place, and they know that that we've got their back.
The reason I'm asking this is, in my personal experience working with veterans, combat veterans included, I've actually never experienced them acting in a way that I thought was bizarre. So I don't know if they just hid it well, or maybe they weren't going through the problems that, and granted, it's not like I've worked in very many places or been exposed to that many veterans, but how big of a problem is this?
So, and this is a good segue into 22, right? On Saturday, well, let me back up. Every 22nd of the month, we have a wave from 4:30 or 4 to 6 p.m. at the ITC intersection.
I've seen one of these waves, and it was very animated. Is not even the right word. It looked exciting. You guys looked like you were having fun.
So specifically, the reason why 22 is one of the last VA estimates indicates that there were about 22 suicides a day amongst the veteran population
in the United States.
In the United States.
Okay. That's a very sad statistic.
It is a very sad statistic, and that number, although it has dropped in different ethnicities for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, it still remains one of the highest groups. So our organization is actually involved with a couple of research organizations, Rocky Mountain MIREC, that together with Veterans Program, you see it on our over the shoulder, the little Guam seal right here. You see a T, a W, and then a V at the bottom. That's our little TWV together with Veterans logo. And they're actually helping us with some grant funding. It's not a whole lot. It's a small amount, but it allows us to meet every month. And again, it's to address that 22 a day. And so every 22nd is our wave. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend, a weekday. It doesn't matter if it's raining.
That's coming up this Saturday. The 22nd is this Saturday.
Yes, definitely. And because we're in the month of October, you said animated. Just drive by. Just drive by. You know what? We even invite you. Now, one of the requisites that we've done with our Vet Bod car wash is we'll make sure we get you a complimentary silkies. You just choose the color that you want.
Wait, what are silkies?
Tell them what vet bod is. The vet bod. The meaning of a vet bod.
If you're short, if your booty's not showing, you're wrong. Just kidding. Short shorts. Okay, so the Marine Corps used to issue these running shorts. I mean, they're silk thin running shorts. It's illegal now, but
Let me
I
lose
get-
weight first before I wear
There is
something
no
like
such
that.
thing as losing weight. No, every Marine was issued a size small silkies. But we did a vet bod car wash about a year ago, and surprisingly, some of the faces that were recognized, John was at the bank, Don was somewhere else, and they're like, "Didn't you guys do that car wash? And yet you guys need to do that again. You guys definitely need to do that again." When they got the full service, I don't need to get into the details, but they weren't using sponges to clean the cars.
You guys keep it light, huh?
For morale, for morale.
Yeah, so there's going to be vet bod car wash. There's a lot of things that we're doing, but again, we try to make light, and a lot of the messages that we put out there, especially during our wave, is, hey, look, bud, you're not alone. If you think you're struggling, hey, remember, you matter. And that's the message we want to get out there. And we've had feedback from veterans, and there's a lot of veterans here too that are not from Guam, but they choose to live on Guam, and who do I connect with? Who do I associate with? And they see us on the road or whatever waving, or they hear of us, and they reach out, they participate.
So one of the problems I remember John saying that they had back in the beginning, or that the organization had, was actually getting veterans to come and tell you guys that they were having problems. Has that changed? Are people coming forward now, or are you going out and finding them? How is this all working?
So pretty much both. They're opening up more. I want to say the seed is being planted.
Okay.
That it's
That
not okay to be
you
alone.
got them.
That we got them, no matter who they are, where they're from, what they've done.
And
because we're here.
And not surprisingly, the agencies do recognize us. We've been a part of the we're in the system with Guam Behavioral Health.
Okay.
We have participated in the Governor's Challenge. We've participated with Public Health. Anybody and everybody, right? The psychologists, the psychiatrists, they've actually already given us props. I was actually at one of my appointments, and the doc goes, "Hey, meeting's over, appointment's over. I just have to ask, are you part of GY671? I said, yes, I am. She goes, I just want to say thank you. And I said, okay, for what? And she says, not just a few, quite a few of the veterans that they see are referencing our Battle Buddy talks, and they're saying that what they experience with us helps them in their treatment and their care. So
that's amazing stuff.
Yeah, so it's great. We're getting referrals from other agencies and stuff.
Yes.
Can I just add
Of
that
course.
I think that they've done so great. GY671 has done so much that there's more veterans reaching out that we had to expand beyond our officers. So we've actually created, community boards where we have community relations and public affairs. We have education coordinator, logistics coordinator, health and fitness coordinator. Training, education and training coordinator, because John and Roy can't do it all on their own.
Well, this organization has really grown from the time that we talked to John. When was that, John?
John, get a chair.
Here, John, you can sit here.
Yeah, come sit down. Don't be shy. We know you combed your hair.
My lap.
Oh, you brought
KFC. All right.
Nice. What is that down there?
Sweet tea.
Oh, the soda comes with it? Get out.
Oh, we all get a shot. We all take a shot.
I didn't even know that comes with it.
Sweet.
I try. Okay, while you chat it up, I'm gonna open up the chain. Okay, go ahead.
So you're the host now, John.
Ooh, opportunities. No, I mean, I think it was like a year ago that I last.
I think it was more than a year.
Was it really? Oh my gosh, how time flies. But yeah, we've expanded in so many ways. Just so overwhelmed with the support. People coming together, and liking the mission, and liking the vision that that we've created.
You were frustrated at first because you didn't know how you were gonna get people. Oh, you were frustrated at first because you didn't know how you were gonna get veterans who were so reluctant to speak up about anything to seek these services, and now it sounds like the cup overfloweth.
Yeah, it's just building that trust, because a lot of veterans approached me in the beginning and said, I really want to be with you guys, but I've been burned in the past by so many other organizations, and I'm like trying to build that trust, right? And I get it, they're like, they get burned, right, by organizations or whatnot. Things happen, right? But just building that trust and letting them know that we're really, honestly, truthfully here for you. I mean, I mean, you can't replace that really. You know, just the hearts and that these guys have, that the guys and ladies have, they really show, and what they display is that they really truly genuinely care for veterans.
What has made this different for veterans? What is different about this organization from others that have, I don't know, what's different?
You know, I think what it is we don't wear those white coats. We're not there to pick apart their brains. We're there to be someone who says, hey, bro, I acknowledge you, and I've been in the same boat that you've been, and here's my experiences, and this is possibly a way for you to learn, right?
I think also because we're not here to gain anything. We're just here to be there for you when nobody's there.
You know, what's good, and I wanted to jump on it, right? We keep saying veterans, right? But what we've seen in the last 6 months to a year is we get active duty members, we've got family members, and yes, veterans are very important, but we've expanded our organization because we recognize that the families of these veterans are also struggling. And that's one of the big things that we saw at our very first PTSD suicide awareness wave, what suicide prevention wave was. There were a lot of spouses, widows, and their children that came out. And quite recently, we've got some active duty members. Our Battle Buddy Talk was just presented out in Palau. There's an active duty Air Force woman out there, and it was surprising to me, and I've got to validate this, right? But if you're from the outer islands, Palau, FSM, you may not qualify for VA benefits because you're not a citizen of the U.S. So we're looking into that as well. But you know, to the guys out there in the Guard or in active duty as well, we know, you know, when you seek services within the organization that you're in, a lot of times those things will go on your record. We don't have any record keeping to report back to your office or your unit or whatever it may be. So we're a safe place for you to come, share your struggles, share your challenges, or if you feel like you're in a professional place, come and share your mentorship and join us. So,
What about, I'm curious whether any of these battle buddy discussions or the personal outreaches that you guys do has helped to save any marriages?
Well, you know what, there was one specifically where we're talking about it where about 5-6 months ago there was a gentleman that says, you know, my wife and I are separated. We have kids between us and things like that. I'm not going to say any names, but I think we're on the outs. And while we had Battle Buddy Talk, what we realized is that a lot of the personal discussion happens afterwards. So it's, hey, baby, I understand that you went through this. Can I talk to you? And it'll be a sidebar for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and we'll share our advice, right? And we never recommend anything because we're not professionals. We make that very clear up front. I'd like to say that now this family has gotten back together. They've moved back in. The individual and his family have shown up to our events, and I'd like to say yes. Now, the other thing that is very difficult for anybody to count is, okay, how can you count something that doesn't happen, right? Because while there's a lot of services for someone that says, hey, I'm ready to end it all, those are reactive. What we try to focus a lot on too is preventive services. We focus on activities, things that we want to do. John's got this great idea of going out there and doing family getaways. You can talk about that, Par. For me, it's again just the holistic one-on-one, get you to a better place so that then you become an officer or you hold a board position, and now you're helping us grow even more. You got 20,000 veterans from Guam alone since 2003 that deployed in support of OIF, OEF. That's 20,000 individuals. And
Operation
Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. Yep.
Did you want to talk about
Yeah, so I like to have fun. I'm just gonna say it straight up. If you have fun and you laugh and you smile and you have a good time, yeah, that's some healing properties in itself. So I like to incorporate having fun, and why not? And people ask, how do you sustain yourself? You don't charge membership, you don't have to pay, your members don't have to pay. I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll figure that piece out, right? Going back to like membership, like if you raised your right hand, right? And I said this before, you paid your dues. You don't have. We'll take care of it. We'll put the smile on your face is what's very important, for me at least, and for I know most of us here, enjoying just seeing a veteran that used to be like come in and is like all mad, irate, I got problems, right? And then, we got you. We've been through it. We hear you out, and then seeing that individual come and grow, grow, just have like smiling now and everything. That's like perfect. That's That's the dues right there. That's the sustainability right there, really.
That's
You know,
payment enough.
Payment, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would like to get like retreats going on, maybe like quarterly retreats where you can work with marriages, you know, and have you know, me and the wife just went on a wounded warrior retreat where the whole weekend was pretty much paid for, and we went through love languages and stuff like that. So yeah, her
Chicka
language
wow
is her language is yelling at me at first, but then, you know, calm down. But, you know, stuff like that is what we want. It's just to help the veteran and everyone that's surrounding the veteran. It twinkles down, you know, it's just an effect that affects the whole family. So, you know, it's time to just take care of it. Really.
I'm curious about something. Do you guys ever see the magistrate's reports that we put up on Kandit?
Yes.
So we have a rule here where we only post up the magistrates of violent crimes, including sex crimes, etc. And then we have another rule, and that is that if the magistrate's report clearly states that it's a veteran, and that the veteran has some sort of a disability, we take a closer look, and we very likely will not post it because we don't want to victimize that defendant, you know, knowing that defendant is being accused of something, knowing that defendant has a mental illness, whether it's PTSD or whatever, right? But a lot of times we understand that the magistrates don't actually put that information. So when you look at the magistrates that we put out there, or that any news organization puts out there, do you see a whole bunch of people who are veterans and that you understand might have, and no names or anything, might have PTSD or some sort of a disability?
That's funny, Troy, because just last week we ran into an individual that we've seen on the news, right?
Was this the Air Force thing?
No.
Okay.
But it's like I see it out there. I know what they're going through, but somehow they got underlooked or overlooked. Or just sometimes even depends on the veteran himself. Doesn't want to seek help. He'd rather just be out there living in the foxhole, you know, living in the streets where he was trained to be at and can blend in and all that. But still reaching out and saying, hey, you know, looking out for this individual and finding what that person needs, right?
So
we still, of course, of course, we always do. And it just depends really on the situation. But it's sad to see the veterans that have to go that route and just stay on the streets longer and develop more mental health, I guess, problems. So. Yeah, I see it. These guys see it. We talk about it almost daily.
I've seen it, and some of it was people I served with, and it breaks my heart because we've all been there, and there's no help. There was no help for them, so
you know,
it sucks that they fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
And
so we're trying to be that beacon in a preventive measure or as a way to say, hey, look, we know you're struggling. You recognize our faces. We've served right along with you. We've checked our pride, so to speak, at the door to say, you know what, we've made ourselves vulnerable. We've opened ourselves up to these individuals. I've caught myself sharing quite a bit that I never thought I would share with anyone. There are things that I've shared at Battle Buddy Talk that I've never even shared with my family. And
why is that?
Because, you know, a lot of times, right, you build yourself up at home as you're the provider, you're the strong person in the house, you're supposed to be the most stable individual, but a lot of times they don't know that you're struggling. You cry at night, you have trouble sleeping, you have constant headaches, you have constant migraines, there's constant worry. And I'd rather tell these guys because maybe they're experiencing it and they're going to help me out. And in doing so, I become a better person. And that's what we try to do. We try to convey. It's like, hey, it's okay. I'm not going to say it, right? But I mean, I'll go ahead and I'll say it. There are still some people in our group that, and we always say this, hey, how you doing? But we don't stop there. We ask it one more time. It's like, okay, how are you really doing? Because we always see it and we always say it to each other, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
That's like the the automatic answer for most veterans is that I'm okay or I'm good. And I'm waiting for that one day where it's, hey John, how you doing? I'm out freaking standing. You know, that's what I want to hear. Right? That's how I want to say it. But
to mean it.
Reality, man, is not outstanding. We got work to do. We got things to fix. People to help, and it is what it is, man.
But it sounds like you guys are scratching the surface at the very least.
Yeah, definitely.
It sounds like you're making a dent. Actually.
We're making a dent. We could make a bigger impact if we can actually hold some of these agencies and some of these grantees accountable for a lot of the funding that they receive that should be going to veterans and don't always get to the veterans.
Where does it go?
Salaries.
So operational.
Goes to operational expenses, where everything we get in our organization goes right back into the community, goes right back into our veterans. And it's a sad case because, here we are, and it's crazy because some of these organizations get in the hundreds of thousands, and then they're pushing people over to us, and we get pennies. So be not afraid if you hear from one of our officers saying, hey, we could use your help. And for those of you that have sponsored us throughout the time that we've been doing our Battle Buddy Talks or whatever, thank you very much.
Hey, I have one, man. Why don't we just talk about it now while we're talking about it? So we just got the Zotner Coban. The mayor just said, hey, you guys want to use this Coban? We heard what you guys are doing. We went up there. We checked it out. It needs a door, needs windows. We want to hold.
This is the one right next to St. Francis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They gave it to us. So now we're like, it needs a door. What else?
Typhoon shutters. We need to gut the whole thing out.
Gut it out.
Yeah.
But if we can get some people to help sponsor that, why not?
Did you hear that? Hardware stores and people with a little bit of disposable income. If you can donate doors, typhoon shutters, and some sort of construction material like paint, maybe tiles and grout and things like that, to GY671, if they are willing to, and I'm sure people are going to be willing to donate after they see this. How do they make the donation? How do they arrange for this to happen?
Where's our fancy? This is our fancy card where the producer is going to be able to put it up towards the end of the show. We'll put out our contact number. But got your 671 on Instagram, Facebook. What else do we have, guys? Our website is being built. But you can reach out to John or anybody that you see here. The pretty face down at the end over here, Miss Tanya. She's very busy, though. But, just look for us, and we'll make it happen. We're actually going to go up there to see if, instead of using a glass facade again, we're just going to build a steel frame around the whole front of the Coban. Or if we want to go even better, you guys have some cement blocks and build us an entire front facade. That'll be great.
All right, and we're trying to reach more of the veterans down south. So this is probably like the more central, and maybe we can get more places down south. So we don't just have our Battle Buddy Talks up in the Tumon area. We can have like outlets out there. So just keep in mind. I mean, since we're talking about sponsorships and all,
yeah, why not?
They always say support our troops, right? Support our veterans.
Support our local veterans.
Well, I'll jump on that again too. Part of the reason why we negotiated with the mayor, and the mayor's been so graceful to give that to us, is a few months ago we secured a grant to purchase these 3 tiny shelters, right? And that'll be the grounds for us to build these tiny homes. And once we find these veterans that are interested in staying in these tiny homes, we build them and then we relocate it to, if they have a property or somebody who's willing to hook it up to power and water, that's great. Now at least we've got a roof over their head. They've got someplace secure that they can call their own. And down the road, we're looking at making this more of a reality and building it with materials that will be insurable, building it with materials that will be a lot more affordable for these veterans to put a roof over their head, because sleeping on a stairwell is not suitable.
Can I ask something? I don't know if you guys know the. I think a lot of people are aware of this story. At the ITC intersection, there is an elderly black man. He was in the Marines. He is very nice, and so respectful, and he's asking for money. What is his story, and what are how many? I've noticed that there are a bunch of homeless veterans. What's going on there?
So you said Marine veteran? Yeah. Well, I know I spoke to.
Very nice guy.
So he's at ITC now. Yeah. So I know there's 2 there, Marine, right? There was two.
76, right.
And then there was one that I actually reached out and helped. I know his story, so I don't know if we're talking about the same guy, but see,
He's slender. He looks fit.
regardless, there's like 3 veterans already that we're just talking about here on the corner somewhere. But yes, no, I did talk to one veteran. He was sent from the Philippines to Guam to go through a PTSD program. So here's where the lack of communication was, because when he left the Philippines and he came to Guam, he goes, "Hey, I'm here to do your PTSD program," and they're like, "Oh no, you don't. You need to go get referred out in Hawaii, but then you need to be a resident of Guam in order to do that." So he got stuck here.
In the bureaucracy.
Right, he got stuck here because of the lack of communication somewhere down the line. I don't know where, but there was a lack of communication. So then he was homeless for a little bit, and then he became homeless for a lot of it.
So it was just because he was stuck.
Right, and then he couldn't go back home because of the COVID, and he had to have a
that's
certain.
so sad.
Right, so yeah, we helped him out. He was back on his feet, and then I didn't see him on the streets anymore. So I'm hoping he's out living his life now and all that. But yeah, there's that was one.
That sounds like a very quick downhill.
Right.
Wow.
And that was one veteran, but now I'm hearing that there's more, and that's just the problem right there. We need to get these veterans into a program to where they can sustain themselves and better themselves. And like I said, though, Troy, some just don't want to. But if we can just keep nudging and saying, "Hey, we're here for you," then good. But that's besides the helping out with the sponsorship, you can also donate with through the Reefs Across America, and I don't know if you guys spoke about that yet. I was waiting.
Not yet. We'll let Tanya take the lead.
If Tanya wants to talk about that for a little bit, we
Sure
can.
can.
Because I want to eat that chicken. So go ahead.
Dude, the chicken's better than crayons.
So, Wreaths Across America, gosh, that started back in, I want to say Maine or somewhere. Oh, there it is. You can see the flyer. The short story of it is how it all began. Is there is a surplus of wreaths that this family laid at the Arlington National Cemetery. And they did that for many years until it got the attention of the media. Then it just became this really big, like, worldwide thing. They're a nonprofit organization, and last year, Guam was the most recent participating location. So this is the Veterans Cemetery down in PD. So last year was our inaugural ceremony, and the purpose of these wreaths is to lay them on every veteran's grave, right? It's kind of to raise the awareness of the sacrifices that they made, right? So, and each wreath costs $15. And together with the location at the Guam Veterans Cemetery, we have these different groups that are our sponsorship groups, right? So these nonprofit organizations, and GY671 is one of them. When you purchase a wreath under their page, then that organization gets back $5 for every wreath that is purchased. Now, our goal is around $6,000 this year, and it's to cover both the PD Cemetery, the Veterans Cemetery, as well as the Isagatnya Navy Memorial Cemetery. But
so I can buy a wreath from my dad, who is a veteran, and he's buried at Veterans Cemetery, and I can go to GY671's website.
Yes.
And make the purchase there.
Yes. So it's there on the screen. You can take your phone and scan that QR code, and it'll take you directly there. Or it's wreathsacrossamerica.org/GU0002P.
And the GU002P that makes sure that the $5 goes to you guys.
It goes to GY671.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you just go
to
the Wreaths Across America page for the Guam Veterans Cemetery, as an employee of the VA, by the way, we don't get any monies back.
Okay.
So I would encourage to sponsor a wreath through GY671's page, and it helps us fundraise so that we can get monies back, so that we can fulfill our mission.
Absolutely.
It's definitely going to help us fulfill
So
our
pretty
mission.
much we get the money back, but we don't take it. We dish it back to the veterans.
Yeah.
Right.
So, to touch on this, right, on that actual day when they do the wreath laying, I remember being at the cemetery, and it was great to see a bunch of Boy Scouts. It was great to see a bunch of the JROTC kids that were there. There's a whole solemn ceremony just talking about it. And then when the students, when the veteran, when the volunteers go out there and they actually lay down the wreath, they actually go through a whole process of reading the veteran's name rendering a salute and placing the wreath on each of these gravestones, the gravesite markers. And I remember purchasing quite a few of the wreaths as well because my father's only brother was laid there. He was a Korean War vet. My Nino, Vietnam vet, and then the fellow Marine who's out there also, John Gerber. He's laid to rest there. And then we've got a bunch of our fellow fallen brothers with the Guard and our brothers and sisters from Guam, right? Vietnam vets, I think there was about 77, if I remember, 77 or 78 Vietnam veterans that died during that casualty. So it's very meaningful, and to see the next generation paying homage to those that came before us is it's very heartwarming. So it's a great cause, and these are actual pine needle wreaths. These are not artificial wreaths. These
They're
are actual
live balsam bouquets that are actually shipped over here. So the last day to purchase a wreath is November 15th. And even though the ceremony is on December 17th, it's a Saturday at 10 a.m., we have to take into consideration the time that it's going to take to get here.
Oh, so it's close to Christmas.
Right. It's every Saturday before Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Is when the ceremony is.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, but we have to take consideration, right, of the time that it's going to take to get here, the fumigation process, and all the clearances from customs, right, before they can release the wreaths to us. So we would rather be a little early than not be on time for the ceremony. So
you know what, I'm loving this entire conversation that we're having because I'm learning so much, and at the same time I just learned how to pay respect to my dad the week before Christmas, and give $5 to your organization while I'm at it, and I'm happy to do that.
And let me
Very
just tell
happy
you
to do
what
that.
Wreaths Across America's mission is: to remember, honor, and teach. Remember the fallen, honor those who have served, and teach the next generation the value of freedom, teaching our children the value of freedom. So very powerful stuff. And last year's ceremony was very moving, especially seeing all the children, participate. It was very moving. Watching everybody render the proper hand salute. So there's a process when you lay the wreath. You don't just put it down. You have to say that veteran's name out loud, because Wreaths Across America believes that when a veteran dies, they die twice. First, when their heart stops beating, and then second, when their name is said for the last time. So part of the process is to say their name out loud so that they're not forgotten. And then you render the proper hand salute, if you're a former military or current active, or just a moment of silence if you're a civilian, and then you lay the wreath.
That sounds like the kind of ceremony where people will cry.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to go to that ceremony.
I was the MC for that event last year, right? And being part of the coordination and then the MC, one of my coworkers was like, Tanya, as soon as everything was done, and then as I looked out onto the cemetery, I saw everybody laying the wreaths, and the kids and the manumkus, people with their canes, and I definitely a tearjerker. I was ugly crying. Lucky thing we had to wear our masks.
That's why I won't go.
Yeah.
I'm an ugly crier. There's just so much that you guys have already said, and I know that there's so much more that needs to be said, and I also know that you guys have to go back to work.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask was whether you guys would be interested in coming back to talk more about this, maybe even on a regular sort of basis. Is that something you guys would consider?
It's definite, right? We need to. We've been positioning ourselves to be an outlet as a resource for a lot of veterans. Like right now, there's 12 or 13 veteran organizations in the Guam Veterans Commission, and even at those meetings, some of them are confused. Well, what does the Guam Vet Center do? What does the VA ASAN office offer? What does the Tizen office offer? And yeah, we're definitely open to taking a look at being a resource, maybe on a weekly basis, coming out here and talking about positive things about veterans,
Sure.
right?
Solutions.
Yeah, solutions, because we've heard it. John and I have been at those meetings where it's just a, bitch session and complaining about this, that, or whatever. And we told them, look, we come here every month telling you about how good we're doing, what good we're doing for veterans, and we hear you guys complaining all the time about this and that. We don't have to be here because we would rather be spending our time helping veterans out there, helping their families out there, instead of wasting our afternoons sitting down listening to a bunch of veterans bitch and complain. And that's what has happened for so many years. I'm glad to say the commission, over the last 18 months, 24 months now, there's no more bickering, there's no more arguing, there's progress, there's collaboration, they're sharing each other's events with each other. And going live, going on TV, getting some sponsorships, and throwing out some stuff to be a resource for veterans to say, oh, I didn't know that. Just like you learned here today, we'd love to share that with a lot of the other veterans, saying, man, I didn't know I was suffering with PTSD, but you guys just described what PTSD was, and oh crap, I'm going through that.
We would love to hear all these great stories and the progress that you make. If it's on a weekly basis, wonderful. But it'll also be an opportunity for you guys. You're welcome to use our platform so that you can publicly celebrate the sponsors who you do get and say, thank you to this sponsor for donating the paint or for, providing the resources that we needed in order to help these 5 veteran families. This sort of you're welcome to use this platform so that you're able to go out there into the sponsor world and say, if you donate this, we'll say your name out loud or your company name or whatever it is, and give you that thanks. We'll put your logo on and all that stuff.
So we'll drop a couple cheesy ads, right? Everybody's Wayne and Garth and the cheesy placement of the Pepsi can and whatever it may be, right? There's something else that we also do other than Battle Buddy Talk every Wednesday, and we've got food sponsors, so you don't come over, you're hungry. We also started doing something, While we took a trip out to Colorado for the Together with Veterans program, we were one of 26 rural communities, and we sat there and we shared ideas. And one of the ideas that was pitched out there was they did this thing called Social Grounds, and we're doing it here every second Saturday of the month. We find a coffee shop that's willing to host us. We spend some money. We pay for the food and drinks for our veterans, and we talk story, right? So a lot of times there's a lot of veterans that go out there, and it's not just for OEF vets. We've got Vietnam vets coming out. We've got families. We've got supporters. We've got active duty coming out here because they just need to be able to collaborate and communicate with people of like minds. And so Don will talk. I mean, did I already kind of just
pretty much?
Damn.
But pretty much,
Okay.
Come out, check us out, pay for your coffee, your muffin if you want.
Food.
But we even talk about people if they have ideas or events that they want us to help out with. You know what I mean? Not host it, but help them out because, like I said, we're here to help.
That's every second Saturday of the month. And before we close, Team Tossi, shout out to you guys. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there is a group of veterans amongst our group that decided to take the lead, and they go to Matapang Beach every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. till whenever. They say it's water aerobics, but a lot of it is just, sitting in the water, kind of doing this. However, we are also looking at competing next year at the Wounded Warrior Challenge in Hawaii. We're going to get into paddling. That's going to be a challenge because hopefully the canoe and the pro will float with all of us in it. We're trying to look for something wide enough for all of us, right? I'm just kidding. You can follow us, right? If you can't find us and you forget all of our names or whatever, we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We do have a chat group that's going on the side. I will throw something out there and make an appeal for anyone who is a canine trainer, right? Here on Guam, there really isn't a service dog training facility or whatever it may be, but we recognize that these service animals are a great tool, and we just saw it rather recently. One of our veterans had a big struggle just getting her service dog brought in from the States, and we thought, what better way to do it than make an appeal to those guys that know how to train these dogs. Hey, we're willing to work with you. Let's train some dogs and partner up with some veterans and maybe start making their day a little bit better with these service animals.
I love that. I love animals more than humans. No offense. I don't mean to offend you guys.
Unconditional love.
I'm all about dogs. And my brother actually was he was a canine handler for TSA.
Hey brother, guess what? You got a job. Brother's tasking you.
Well, I don't know if he's a trainer, but he did the handling thing for years.
He can do it.
He pretty much has training.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, definitely. Again, we focus while we try to help those that are struggling. We also want to focus on a lot of positive things, right? Again, we can't count. It's hard to count something that didn't happen, but to see that smiling face every week, every day, whatever it may be, that is something that didn't happen, right? And
yes.
we don't want to talk about it, but seeing them every single week or getting involved by raising their hand and say, hey man, I want to take the lead on doing this and take the lead on doing that. That's a positive thing when we know where they came from 6 months ago or
where
3 months ago
gone.
or where they could have gone.
Yeah. And thankfully they didn't go because they received services or they got an open ear from you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting the wrap-up signal because
we're getting the signal from two people who are not officially here that
don't need to go.
they're hungry. They're looking at the KFC. They're looking at the
They want the
KFC.
KFC. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and for spending this time with us and with our audience. This has been such a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much. Roy, Don, and Tanya from Gotcha 671, and also in our studio is John Conception and a couple people who are actually not here officially, but you guys have to go back to your offices. Lunch break is now over, but we're gonna celebrate some KFC before you guys go. But so
Thank you, KFC.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll have them back very soon to talk more about the progress that they're making. For Candid News, I'm Troy Torres. Have a blessed and wonderful day.
I moved to Guam 23 years ago, living paycheck to paycheck just to make ends meet. Through hard work, I was able to build small businesses, not just to sustain my family, but also to provide job opportunities for our island. But I want more for Guahan. I will use my experience to strengthen our economy by promoting affordable housing, food sustainability, and foster growth for all businesses. Together, we can make Guahan stronger from within and set new standards for our island. I'm Bishop Mendiola, and I approve this message.
Day. My name is Jeanette Guzman Chrysostom, and I'm voting for Joe S. San Agustin.
Day. I'm Ryan Walter, and I'm voting for Joe S. San Agustin.
Mabuhay! Ako po si Micaela Silorio at boboto ko si Joe S. San Agustin.
Day. My name is Diane Mkenko Garrido, and I'm voting for Joe.
Day. My name is Joe Cabana. I humbly ask my friends and families to please join me in voting Joe Shimizu San Agustin.
I'm Senator Joe Shimizu San Agustin, and I approve this message.
Day, dear people of Guam. I am Peter Santos, and I am running as a write-in candidate for the Attorney General of Guam. It is absolutely no secret that on Guam there is a violent crime crisis, and criminals are not being held responsible because there just aren't enough trained and qualified prosecutors. Prosecutors are highly specialized attorneys, and not just any attorney can be a good prosecutor. I really wish I could say that the crisis that we are experiencing at the prosecution division at the Attorney General's office under Levin Camacho is unprecedented. But the sad reality and the harsh truth is that we've been down this road before with Douglas Moreland. Both Levin and Doug have driven away good prosecutors. If you haven't been able to decide who's worse, Levin or Doug, in this election, there is another option. Me, Peter Santos. Write in Peter Santos for Attorney General of Guam. I am the only candidate that has been a GPD officer, a prosecutor, a magistrate, and a defense attorney as well. I am the only candidate that has been in the trenches and rose through the ranks. I am the only candidate that is a common citizen without family interests in big business. I am the only candidate that can fix the crisis that we are in and provide a safer Guam. Write in Peter Santos for Attorney General. Thank you, si Diyos maasi, maraming salamat, and kilisong.
Right now, we are seeing a rise in energy prices. We feel it at the pump, at the store, or each time we get our CUC bill. This is causing everyone to make difficult choices. Businesses are having to increase prices or reduce hours. Families are having to choose between keeping the aircon on or putting food on the table. Lieutenant Governor Arnold and Mayor Dave's commitment to our Commonwealth is demonstrated through their 30-plus years of public service. Their experiences have allowed them the opportunity to personally interact with our community during their most difficult moments, and for that, they have a better understanding of the needs of our people. The CNMI needs leaders that will promote policies that create jobs, grow paychecks, and improve the economic security of the CNMI businesses and families. We hear you, Marianas. It's time to get this government back in order. This election, please vote Arnold and Dave.